So New York City's Test and Trace Corps has been working around the clock, tracking any potential new cases. Dr. Ted Long is the executive director of the Test and Trace Corps. So welcome back to the Pix Up Morning News. Good to see you, Dr. Long.
Thanks for having me.
So, Dr. Long, let's begin with the first and foremost question that many people may be wondering. Have there been any additional Omicron cases detected since Saturday in New York City? Or does the number of confirmed cases still stand at what it is, which was 8?
Yeah, the number of cases that you referenced is correct. And just to let everybody know, we do intensive genomic sequencing of about 15% of all cases across the city every single week. So as more Omicron cases will come about, and we'll know about them as quickly as possible.
Can you just explain in layman's terms how you can tell the difference between what the Delta variant is and what the Omicron variant is, how you test for that?
Sure. So basically, it's like testing for your DNA. We look at your DNA, and either you fall into the group of the Delta variant, the Omicron variant, or we test for other variants as well. So we have a sophisticated way of knowing exactly what variant or type of the virus you have. And again, we do that for about 15% of cases.
So you guys at the Test and Trace Corps have been working obviously to track down anybody who attended that anime convention 3 weeks ago where we saw that there was a case out of that. What's the update there? How far has the agency gotten in terms of contact tracing? Because there were thousands of people there.
Yeah, exactly. So what we've done is we jumped to action. We've sent tens of thousands of phone calls, texts, emails to the 53,000 conference participants that we had contact information for. Looking at our test and trace data, we've already identified some cases that were also at the conference at that same time. But here's the deal, and here's the most important thing I'm going to tell you today. When you look at the Omicron cases in New York City today, some traveled, some didn't travel, but the upshot of this all is it is in our communities and it's starting to emerge. Now, most cases now are still Delta. Omicron is not the majority of cases by a long shot, but it is here and we expect it to continue to spread. So the message is very clear. We need to get tested, we need to get vaccinated, and we need to keep wearing our masks. So the scary part is that, yes, it is here in our communities, but the good news is we have the strongest test infrastructure in the whole country. 89% of all adults in New York City are vaccinated right now. And when I go outside, I see people wearing masks. So New Yorkers are up for the challenge, and we are ready.
What do you know so far about the people that have the Omicron variant, are infected by it? Were they vaccinated? Were they not vaccinated? Did they have their boosters?
Good question. So internationally, to what Dr. Fauci said, we're still learning about the degree of protection that the vaccine and the boosters confer for Omicron. I believe, and the scientific community also believes, that there is at least a degree of protection, hopefully a high degree of protection from the vaccine. But I'll give you one encouraging statistic. Last week, when we studied the effect of the booster in Israel, now this wasn't specific to Omicron, but there's 86% protection, 86% after you get the booster, protecting you from getting the coronavirus. That's an incredible statistic. And that statistic alone makes me want to tell every single person I meet on the street, you can protect yourself 86% of the time by getting the booster.
So, yeah, and so that's why everybody is urged, obviously, to get the booster and the vaccines as well. How many days, though, does it typically take for that variant test result that you said 15% of the population of those tests are being, how long does it take for those to come back so you get an accurate, I guess, portrait of what's happening across the city?
Yeah, so it can take on the order of days or sometimes a little bit over a week. But I think one of the points here is that Omicron has been identified earlier on, a matter of weeks ago now, and we've never stopped doing the genomic sequencing. So here's what you're going to see. You're going to see in New York City and in other states across the country that the Omicron variant is here and is going to be increasing. We're going to catch more cases. But again, the good news about that is it's not like when COVID started and we didn't know what to do, how to protect ourselves. New Yorkers know what to do and have been doing it throughout. So again, my clear message to you today is use the strongest testing infrastructure in the whole country here in New York City. Get your vaccine and get your booster, because we know from data from just last week, 86% protection from the booster, 86%. And keep wearing your mask. The same thing that I see you doing every day when you go out now. We are ready to fight. We're not powerless. We're very powerful, and we can do this together.
And do we know for sure that Omicron is more easily transmissible than the Delta variant?
That's the concern, and that's something that we're going to know more about, maybe even later this week, but definitely in the next 1 to 2 weeks, is the degree to which it either is similarly or potentially more transmissible than the Delta variant.
So, Dr. Long, while we have you here, and I'm sorry to do this to you, but the mayor's office just put out something that said that the mayor is going to be leading the way now, a first-in-the-nation vaccine mandate for private sector employees beginning on December 27th, right? So the private sector, that means that a lot more people are going to be vaccinated. What does that mean then for testing? When you're vaccinated, how often should you be tested, especially with this new variant out there that's just coming in?
Yeah, I know. For testing, if you're vaccinated, and again, just to back up for a moment, in New York City, we've led the way for the country in terms of getting people vaccinated through mandates starting in our healthcare sector, followed by in order to go to restaurants, to eat with your family, to make sure that your family is safe while you're there with your masks off, and that everybody else in the restaurant is safe. And that's so important. It has been a big credit to how we've been successful in New York City. And even, looking at the anime conference, we're still investigating it, but we haven't seen any evidence of widespread transmission. And if indeed at the end of this, we still don't see any evidence of widespread transmission, the fact that we required everybody in New York City to be vaccinated in order to go to that conference definitely helped substantially. So, moving forward here, with this new mandate that the mayor announced today, this is going to help to strengthen New York City even more. And we're already at the leading edge for the country in terms of getting people vaccinated. And if in terms of testing, if you're vaccinated, you should get tested if you're symptomatic, especially before you're going to go to work or going to see friends. Don't go, get tested first. Better to know if you have COVID so you can keep your friends, your family, your colleagues safe.
Good advice.
And also get tested before gatherings, before you travel, and when you come back home to New York City, get tested again after you come back. That's the way to keep our city safe. And I know that New Yorkers are willing to do it because you've done it throughout COVID.
That mandate, is it going to be just for one shot, or are you going to have people get fully vaccinated and boosted?
So we're starting off all of our mandates with one shot, and then we're going to climb the ladder from there. And the mayor is going to announce more about that as we go. But for the booster right now, the point I want to make is that, and this is what I tell my patients, before even, a couple of weeks ago, when the Delta variant was starting to have cases rise, we know the booster is protective to keep you safe and to save your life from going to the hospital.
Okay.
Now that I additionally know that it can provide 86% reduction in even you getting COVID in the first place, I'm gonna have trouble letting anybody leave my office.
All right, Dr. Long, we appreciate your time this morning, and thanks for that latest update for us.